I'm going to clap 3 times so you can line up the audio from all these, which will help you sync it later. Cool? So in this video, we're going to very quickly explain how to upload an audio podcast to Libsyn. At Piper, we use Libsyn for all of our podcasts and our clients' podcasts. We do that because it is a very old, well-established company within the podcasting space. They've been at it for more than a decade. And what Libsyn is a single RSS feed for your show. So in the same way that a blog would have an RSS feed where each subsequent blog drops on that same feed, your podcast works the exact same way. Each time you publish a new piece of audio, it gets added to that feed, and then that RSS feed is actually syndicated out to Apple iTunes, to Stitcher, to Google Play, to Spotify, all these different platforms. And there's a little bit of work involved in getting those onto the different platforms. It's not hard, just takes a little bit of time. But all we're going to show you today is the process of once you have a completed piece of audio and show notes written, how to schedule that out so that it will go up on your show at the designated time. All right, so once you get into Libsyn, you can see that we're on the front page. We just see a basic dashboard of the show, their downloads. You can see the Piper podcast doesn't get a tremendous amount of listeners, but actually as Russ Roberts, a very well-known economics professor and podcaster has mentioned, to even be able to reach as many people as a small lecture hall digitally is a tremendously influential place to sit. So we don't turn our noses up at these numbers personally within Piper, and we don't think that anyone, even if you're hitting the median download rate for a show, for a podcast, which is about 120 downloads per episode, we still think that that is a tremendously impactful place to be with your media. And if you're above that, you're doing pretty well. So to publish the episode, we're going to go to the second tab at the top and hit Content. And we're going to select Add New Episode. When we just hit Content, you can see all the previous episodes are listed here, but we hit Add New Episode. And the first thing that you're going to do is add a media file. Add a media file is your already finished audio file for this episode. We're going to take that directly from our hard drive. I already have this folder open here where we have the episode that Dan Lampmann edited for us as a new creative apprentice at Piper. This is AT talking about his first 3 months full-time working at Piper. Outside of this, we're not going to add much more for the media section. We're going to drop to number 2 on this bar across the top for details. This is where we add our title and our description. So in a Google Doc, we create the episode title, we create the subtitle, and we create the description for the episode. First thing I'm going to do is copy the title, paste that under title. Subtitle is not required. You can see that there's only the little asterisk required for title, and description isn't even required, but generally want to add a description to the show you're publishing. Now I am copying the full description that was written, placing that in description, and then the subtitle. Not all podcast players use this, but I listen to my podcast actually on Overcast, and they always show the subtitle right above the description of the actual episode in the podcast player. So I like having a subtitle there, just a little bit more of a teaser for what the episode is going to be about. Then tags. We don't find a lot of efficacy in adding tags to these episodes. We haven't seen any demonstrable data that this improves the performance or the reach of the show. And then what this special section is, because almost 90% of all podcasts published are consumed on Apple's podcast app. You have a special section where you can personalize or create different descriptions specifically for Apple's framework for data. So this, you could add a season number or an episode number for this show. We don't do that, but you have the option to. We're not publishing yet. We're now going over to scheduling. The Piper podcast airs every Monday morning. So right here, instead of release immediately on publish, we're gonna click set new release date. We are gonna select Monday the 16th when this episode will be going up. And instead of noon, we're gonna select 1 a.m. so that every early riser will get their weekly dose of Piper nuggets in their podcast player when they open their app in the morning. Artwork is an option. You can make specific thumbnails for each episode. That's something some shows do to great effect. Joe Rogan, for example, is one that always has a unique image for every single episode. That's something where, once again, if we had the time, we'd love to do it, but it's not where we see the greatest ROI for each episode we publish, but you have that option. Outside of that, we're done, we're ready to go. Just hit publish. And the show is scheduled. Might take a little while to officially get up. If you're publishing immediately, it can take a little bit longer. But when we're scheduling this out, no concerns that this will be ready. We can check on that by going over here in the content tab to scheduled for release. And you can check on the stuff that's yet to go up. We can see that it will publish Monday, September 16th at 1 a.m. The title is there. If we wanted to get the embed code for the player, right here is where that would be located. You can select custom, get the embed code. You can copy paste this, put this into a blog post, embed it on your website. And you can actually embed it before the episode would even go live. So you can do that work beforehand so it's ready to go on the day that it's released. We hope you found this tutorial valuable. If you head on over to pipercreative.co, we have a specific podcast mastery webpage where we have a ebook that I think is in the realm of like 30 pages. It explains everything you need to know about publishing your own podcast. If you want Piper to help you in publishing a podcast, reach out to us at pipercreative.co.